Next, on PBS Hollywood Presents.
Are you going to survive this tutorial, or will you require oxygen?
I want so much to please you, and no matter what I do, it's wrong.
Your life will never be the same from this morning on.
What if this is it? What if I'm a one-book wonder?
You crossed the line, sweetie.
Ruth, are you jealous?
What, you thought I'd be threatened by your success?
I want you to tell me.
There's nothing to tell.
What did you teach me? You taught me to be ruthless.
Some things you don't touch.
I'm throwing down my key.
What?
The buzzer doesn't work. I'm throwing down my key.
Oh, you want me to let myself in?
Yes, that's exactly what I want you to do.
Got it.
Good. 2F.
What?
2F. As in Frank.
Oh, for God's sake. Yes, I'm over here.
I'm sorry, I'm late. I hadn't checked my mailbox. So I just got your note we're meeting here and not in your office like 15 minutes ago.
Uh-huh.
You need help with that?
Yes. As a matter of fact, I do. See if you have any luck with this, will you, dear?
Sure. Wait, it's stuck.
Yeah, I know it's stuck. It sticks.
Have you got a screwdriver or something?
A screwdriver?
Yeah, to like...
There's a particular angle to it. I've found it before. If you try jiggling it or something.
Huh.
I couldn't find a screwdriver. See if this works for you.
A spatula?
Well, Excellent. Thank you.
Hey, no problem. I do windows. So, hi.
Hi.
It's so nice to be here. I mean, I was beginning to think I was never going to find this place.
Oh, really? Why? It's not all that difficult.
Well, I know, but when you're walking along, and all of a sudden, West 12th and like West something streets intersect. And it's like, wait a second, what is going on here? Like Alice through the looking glass or something.
Yeah.
Anyway, this is such a neat place. It's so nice of you to have me over.
Have you over? I hardly think of this as having you over.
I know, I
It's not
meant...
exactly a social call, you know. I do this
I know.
from time to time, have my students meet me here, mainly because I'm a terrible slug. And if someone has to schlep, it may as well be you. You're younger.
No, what I meant was, it's so nice to be in a real home for a change, where a real person actually lives with real furniture and books and art and stuff. I mean, graduate students, my apartment is so makeshift and sad, completely lacking in dignity, and the surfaces are always sticky because nobody really cleans up after themselves. What?
You're Lisa?
Uh-huh.
Lisa Morrison?
Yes. Uh-huh.
You wrote Eating Between Meals.
Uh-huh,
You
why?
wrote this.
This is my tutorial, remember? We had a tutorial?
No, I remember. It's just that I thought you were someone else.
What do you mean?
You're not who I thought you were. I confused you with another student.
Oh.
I decided that Lisa Morrison had to be that serious young woman, that mousy Anita Bruckner type, you know, the one who never makes eye contact.
Janet?
Dreary girl with the long bangs that look like she trims them by chewing them off at the ends.
Janet Spiegel, yeah.
Oh, that's Janet Spiegel. Ah. Huh. Now, why did I think she was you?
Are you disappointed?
What?
I mean, that I showed up looking like me and not like Janet?
No, it's just that you don't look anything like your story. Very often, almost without exception, my students tend to look like their stories.
Huh.
I've prided myself for years on being able to match up the student with the stories. I'm so rarely wrong.
So, you're saying I don't look very serious?
What?
No, that's okay. I'm just curious. You said you thought the person who wrote the story was a serious-looking person. So am I not a serious-looking person?
Young lady.
No, I'm curious. Am I?
No, you're not.
Oh. But wait, if you thought the person who wrote the story was a serious-looking person, does that mean you thought it was a serious story?
Perhaps. Can I offer you anything?
Tea
Yeah, sure. Or,
Thanks. Actually, I would love a cup of coffee.
Well, actually, I don't have coffee.
Oh?
I don't drink coffee. I have tea.
Oh, okay, I'll have tea.
English breakfast?
Do you have any herbal?
No, I have English breakfast.
English breakfast will be fine.
English breakfast it is, then.
Thank you. What a beautiful edition of Middlemarch. My copy's falling apart. I've read it so many times. Wow, in dreams begin responsibilities. I love in dreams begin responsibilities. I love the part where he's dreaming he's in the movie theater watching his parents' courtship on the screen. And just as his father's about to propose to his mother, he shouts out, here it is. Don't do it. It's not too late to change your minds, both of you. Nothing good will come of it, only remorse, hatred, scandal, and two children whose characters are monstrous. I love that. Oh my God, is this letter really from Delmore Schwartz himself?
Put that back, please.
Oh, I'm sorry.
It's all right. Just put it back.
Phone. Hello? Professor? Miss Steiner, do you want me to get that?
No.
Oh. Thank you. Mm-hmm. Is your machine working?
My machine?
Because it's ringing a lot.
I have no machine.
Oh, you have no machine, really? Wow.
Why? What do I need a machine for?
I don't know. I mean, I would think someone as important as you. God, how do you live without an answering machine?
Well, if it's work-related, they'll call my agent. She'll know to call later. My friends would know the same.
What if it's an emergency?
Well, I have no children. My parents are both dead. What could possibly be so important?
Well, look, why don't you just answer it and tell them you'll
I
call
don't
them
want to
back?
answer it. Why should I answer it? I have company.
Oh, who?
You?
Oh. Right.
See, there, it stopped. Couldn't have been that important.
This is good. What is it?
It's mandel bread.
Mondel?
Jewish biscotti. See? Look.
Oh, shit. I'm sorry. You know, I'm really much more together than this.
Are you?
But I'm like really, really nervous.
Are you really? Why is that?
Why? Because I can't believe I'm here, okay? I can't believe I'm sitting in Ruth Steiner's apartment, sipping tea with Ruth Steiner.
Oh, dear.
No, I mean, this is where you wrote The Business of Love, isn't it?
Well, here and on the Vineyard, in restaurants, on the Broadway local, but yes.
This is the Matisse that hangs over Lydia's bed in all the wrong places.
Yes.
I remembered the dancers. She imagines herself dancing with the dancers in the end.
That's right.
And that's the playground where Joanna's little boy in The Silent Child falls and gets a concussion, isn't it?
Yes, it is.
Eric.
Eric?
The little boy's name, Eric.
Oh, well, I'll take your word for it.
How long have you lived here?
Oh, you don't want to know.
Yes, I do.
A very long time.
Like 10 years?
No, more like 31.
Wow, 31? So you wrote every story you practically ever wrote here, didn't you? These are the books you read.
Oh, my.
This is the floor you paced.
All right, dear, please. I think we're going a little overboard here.
Why, you think I'm sucking up to you?
Well, the thought had occurred to me, yes.
I don't mean to. What I'm trying to tell you, Miss Steiner, in my very clumsy, stupid way, being here, studying with you, it's like a religious experience for me.
Oh, my.
No, really, it is. Your voice has been inside my head for so long, having this secret dialogue with me for, like, years. I mean, ever since high school, when I had to read The Business of Love, that was it. I was hooked. You had me. I knew what I wanted to do. I knew what I wanted to be.
Oh, my. I did all that?
Yes. I read all of your stories, all of them like 5 or 6 times. I devoured them. I couldn't get enough. I kept wanting more. I even went to the library to look up your uncollected stories.
Well, that is devotion.
I sat there one day and I read whatever I could find.
Well, there's a very good reason why they remain uncollected.
Oh, no, they all have wonderful things in them, all of them. The 3 in the New Yorker and the ones in Ms. from like the early 80s, and that amazing one from the Esquire summer reading issue, you know, the Coney Island lifeguard one.
Yes.
So if I seem like a sycophant or an idiot or something, it's just because I'm trying to tell you what a privilege it is to be like breathing the same airspace as you, that's all. I write much better than I talk, so I should probably just shut up.
Yes. I mean, yes, you do write better than you talk. Where'd you do your undergraduate work, Lisa?
In New Jersey?
Ah, yes, we're in New Jersey.
Princeton?
Ah, yes, I think I've heard of it. All right, geez, we ought to get this started, huh?
Of course.
Otherwise, I can see myself pissing my entire afternoon away.
I'm sorry.
Why don't you just listen first? Don't begin by writing down everything I say. Listen, digest.
Oh, okay. But what if I forget? I mean, I might forget something you say that's really
If you
important.
forget, it probably wasn't all that important to begin with. Not everything I say is going to be clever or wise, you know.
Uh-huh.
No, you may think I'm full of it, and that's okay, too. I'm not a doctor, you know. I don't dispense prescriptions. All I can do as an artist who teaches is tell you what I see and feed back to you what I see as a sort of reality test and ask the right questions, yes?
Is it true you need a new assistant?
What?
I heard you need a new assistant.
Yes.
Can I apply? I mean, are you taking applications or do you already have someone else in mind?
No, I don't have anyone in mind.
Well, then, can I apply?
You can do whatever you like. It's not a glamour job. You know, I can be a totally despotic employer.
I don't care.
You don't, huh? All right, let's get started. We're here to talk about eating between meals, huh? I like your title, by the way.
Thanks.
It's a good title. I wish I'd thought of it.
Really? You don't think it's too on the nose? I mean, for a story about bulimia?
No, I like it.
Thanks. Yeah, I kind of liked it myself.
Have another story in the works?
Yeah, I think I do.
Good.
It's about a divorced dad who takes his 12-year-old daughter to Disneyland with his new girlfriend, and the three of them share a motel room.
Don't tell me about it.
What?
Don't tell me about it. Write it. I don't want to hear it.
Oh, okay.
Telling takes away the need to write. It relieves the pressure. First write it, then we'll talk about it, yes?
Okay.
Okay, all right. Let's see what we've got here.
The story's kind of autobiographical.
No.
I guess that was a stupid thing to say. It's obvious,
No,
right?
it's not that it's obvious. It's inconsequential. I don't care what the basis of a good story is, as long as it's a good story. Huh? Okay, shall we get started?
Okay.
With the first paragraph, where your protagonist,
Jessica.
Yeah, Jessica, comes into the supermarket. All right, who is Jessica?
Who is she?
I don't have a sense yet of who she is. Tell me about her.
You really want me to...
Yes?
Oh, okay. Well, she was the baby of her family. Had two older brothers she adored who were like 10 and 12 years older, who babied her to the point of domination and then went away to school and, as far as she was concerned, abandoned her, left her all alone to deal with her infantile, incompetent parents, just as their marriage was turning into an ugly suburban nightmare. Who was pampered and pretty and all that, but felt worthless and undeserving anyway, and would do anything for attention, even if it meant hurting herself. Like that?
Yes. The automatic door sprang open. I entered into a world of
Wait a
plenty.
second, you're gonna read it?
Yes.
Out loud?
Yes, why?
I don't know, I didn't know you were gonna read it out loud.
Lisa, you're going to have to begin getting used to hearing your own words. We're going to begin reading aloud in class next week.
Oh God, you're kidding.
No, well, if you can't bear to hear your own words, how can you expect anyone else to?
I'm a terrible reader. I have a terrible voice.
It's not about performance. It's about responsibility. It's about claiming ownership. Are you going to survive this tutorial, or will you require oxygen?
No, I'm okay.
The automatic door sprang open. I entered into a world of plenty, a cornucopia of temptation, of sustenance and sin, where the music of love was muzak and anything was possible.
What?
Well, let's think about that phrase for a minute. Anything was possible. I don't know. It seems kind of weak, that phrase.
Really? Weak? I'm sorry.
I like the music of love was muzak, cornucopia of temptation, the world of plenty. I like all that. That's all very nice, but give it a little more thought,
Can I write this down?
All right, if you must. Okay. I took a red plastic basket from a help-yourself stack and made my way through the crush of harried women, pushing shopping carts loaded with unruly toddlers past precarious towers of brightly packaged foods.
What?
Well, that sentence, look at it, huh? Maybe it's all those bloody adjectives. You got a shitload of them. Lose some of them, okay? You don't need all that. Less is more. Food was everywhere, thank God.
What?
A blessed three-word sentence. The endless walls of cereal boxes in primary colors made me think of Christmas. Good. Clean, clear, evocative, specific. In the condiment aisle, I encountered an overweight little girl, her mouth and pink jogging suit smudged with chocolate, spinning herself around like a sugar-crazed dervish, her mad dance ending only when she dizzily collided with a wall of gherkins. 3 glass jars toppled in rapid succession, exploding onto the linoleum like fabulous green water balloons. The girl looked up, saw me, and grinned delightedly before taking off down the aisle, leaving her mortified mother and the briny mess behind her. Fabulous green water balloons. I love that girl. Where'd that little girl come from?
Oh, her? That's me. It's a true story, only it wasn't pickles, it was ketchup, but I thought ketchup might be too, you know.
Yeah. Do you know what you did here?
I don't know. I guess I was struck by this idea of encountering myself as a child. You know, like this specter in the supermarket, this fat girl with chocolate on her face spinning wildly and making a mess of things and pissing her mother off and not caring she was pissing her mother off, but rather enjoying it.
That's right. The ice cream was displayed in a long corridor of frosty glass cases like precious Etruscan vases in a museum. Now, here I have a question for you. Are you familiar with Etruscan vases?
Not overly, no. I mean, I've seen them.
I would think about that image. Why Etruscan vases?
Why Etruscan?
Yeah, why not Greek vases or ancient vases? What is it about Etruscan vases?
I don't know. I like the word.
Yes, it is a lovely word, isn't it? But why don't you go to the Met and sit with the Etruscan vases for a while and become acquainted with them, and then maybe you'll know what you really mean to say.
You mean it?
Absolutely. There's too much arbitrariness in the world already. We mustn't be arbitrary with our stories, huh? Not our stories. They're too damn important.
God, that makes like so much sense.
Lisa?
Did you not want me to write?
No, that's not it. Do you mind if I ask you something?
Okay, sure.
Why do you talk like that?
Excuse me?
You have a tendency to add question marks to the ends of your declarative sentences. Do you know that?
Oh, God.
When a simple declarative sentence will do, you inflect it in such a way. When I asked you where you did your bachelor's, you didn't simply say Princeton, a statement of fact. You said Princeton. You hear how my voice went up?
I can't believe I'm still doing that. I used to talk like that when I was
You don't do it all
younger.
the time, but you do it often enough for me to notice, and it's really very striking because you're obviously an intelligent young woman, but it's really rather dopey if you ask me.
It is. It really is. It's awful.
Something very poignant about it. All you capable young women begging to be heard, begging to be understood. Can you hear me? Are you with me? Am I being heard?
Oh, I know. Is it television, do you think? That was a question. I mean, I think it is television. Television portrays young people in a certain way. Young people watch a lot of television, and it's...
Listen to yourself. Who's going to take you seriously in the real world if you talk like that? Listen, and when you hear yourself doing it, stop it and correct it. Pretend I'm your mother telling you to stand up straight. Tell me to drop dead, but do it anyway. You'll thank me for it later, I promise. All right, let's get on with this. We haven't even gotten through the first page yet.
So do you think I'm any good?
What?
Never mind.
Do I think you're any good? Well, it's a bit early to tell yet, isn't it?
I know, but you must have formed some opinion by now. I mean, you've been doing this a long time, right?
20-odd years.
Right, so you must have formed some opinion by now, right?
Listen, this is your first tutorial, yes?
I know.
So why don't you ask me 6 months from now?
My parents think this is the most ridiculous thing that I have ever done, and I've done plenty of things in the realm of the ridiculous. I would really hate to give them the satisfaction. Please, I just need to know if you think I'm wasting my time. Am I? That's all I need to know.
No, I don't think you're wasting your time. I wouldn't exactly retire yet if I were you. You have a lot of work to do yet, a lot, but the stuff, I think, is there.
The stuff? Really? You think I have
Very
the stuff?
raw, mind you, but yes.
Oh, God, you're not just saying that.
Well, why would I say something like that if I didn't mean it?
I don't know, because I'm paying, like, all this tuition.
No, rest assured, I'm a terrible liar. My eyes grew wide in the dazzling fluorescence.
So is there an actual application form I need to fill out, or can you just put my name on a list?
Again with this job. Young lady, I don't know what you think this job is. I wouldn't want this job.
Why not?
Well, nudging me about this and that.
I can nudge.
I assure you, you have better things to do with your life than babysit an old fart like me.
I don't care.
All right, if you want to apply,
Yes.
apply through the office. Talk to Mrs. Gonzalez.
Mrs. Gonzalez?
Yes, she has the applications.
Okay.
My eyes grew wide in the dazzling fluorescence. As I reached inside the icy freezer for the macadamia brittle, my heart beat quickly in feverish anticipation, as if I were preparing for a tryst with a lover and not for an after-school binge. Nice. So late.
Well, I got your mail and watered your plants and stuff and decided to stick around and wait for you. Welcome home.
Thank you.
So, how was Washington? I mean, I know how Washington was. You were so fabulous.
How do you know?
I saw you on C-SPAN.
Oh, God, you're kidding.
Oh, no, you were so great.
Really? How did I look?
You looked wonderful. You were so poised and funny. They loved you.
Who?
The committee.
Oh, please. How could you tell? It was like giving a talk to a convention of undertakers.
That was so funny when you said, "You're politicians, I'm a writer. We all have crosses to bear." That was so great. You didn't seem nervous at all.
I wasn't.
I would have been a wreck.
Oh, it's all a show. I just play the part of the feisty older woman who cracks wise and gets away with saying just about anything. If she were alive today, Thelma Ritter would play me in the movies.
What you said about a few inches of immortality on the library shelf, that was beautiful. God, when you talked about how you nearly gave up writing to work for that plumbing company, I didn't know that happened.
It didn't.
What do you mean?
It didn't happen.
But you said...
I know.
You mean it isn't true?
Well, it has elements of truth in it. I did do office temp work. I was offered a position at a plumbing supply company, and I did get an NEA grant, but never for a moment did I ever seriously consider giving up writing.
Then why did you say that?
Well, listen, what kind of a case could I have made in front of the House of Representatives for the NEA if I had simply recounted the facts of my career? Where's the drama if there's nothing at stake? So, using the elements of truth, I spun a little tale. I threw a crisis into the mix and allowed myself to be rescued by the U.S. cavalry at the 11th hour. I exaggerated. What is art if not an exaggeration of the truth? Made a good story, didn't it?
Yeah. God. I sorted everything. Mail that looked important I put here, everything else. You got so many calls, so many people were expecting to leave a message on your machine. So then, of course, I'd have to explain that you don't have a machine, and then we talked about that. A doctor called. Ed. I was talking to Ed. It was surreal. But don't worry, Professor, I didn't gush too much, or at least I don't think I did.
Where's the pile that was here?
Oh, well, I straightened up.
What do you mean you straightened? Oh, no. Oh, God, why did you do that?
Remember before you left, I asked you if you'd like me to straighten up a bit?
Yes, not reorganize my life. I did not authorize you to reorganize my life.
I'm sorry. All I did was
God, I thought when you said straighten up, you meant take a schmata and dust. Now how am I going to find anything?
Just ask me. What are you looking for?
Ask you.
Well, I'll tell you exactly where it is. I didn't throw anything out or anything. I made neater piles.
Well, I don't want neater piles. I like my piles the way they are.
I'm sorry. I didn't mean to.
There was a method to my madness, which has served me very well.
I'm really, really sorry. I was only trying. Well, I'll put everything back the way it was.
Please don't. Just leave it. Ah, shit. You're not gonna cry, are you?
No. Well, it's hard for the inconvenience.
Oh, Lisa. Get over here.
What?
Thank you for watering my plants and sorting the mail.
You're welcome.
Please, let me write you a check.
No, I don't want a check.
Let me. It was above and beyond the call of duty.
You don't get it, do you? Put that away, please. You know, all I want so much to please you, you know, and no matter what I do, it's wrong. I always seem to get your disapproval when it's the opposite I want so badly. All these months, it's been both wonderful and excruciating working for you. I mean, to be so close to you when I admire you so much. But every day I see you, it's like a test. What faux pas will I make? What'll I do that'll annoy her today?
Oh, no.
Yes, it's true. There's always something some invisible line I've crossed or something I've bungled out of sheer panic.
Panic?
Yes, you intimidate me so much. When I show you something I've written or even when I talk to you, I feel like what value could my words possibly have to her?
No.
You're so... I mean, I knew you were difficult. You told me as much, but you really seem to take pride in being difficult, though, and that I don't understand. I've said too much. Look, maybe I'm just not cut out for this job, you know? Maybe I'm not. My skin's not thick enough. Oh, well. I'm sorry. I touched your things, Professor. I thought you would appreciate it. I'm sorry. If you're hungry, there's dinner in the fridge.
Oh?
Nothing. I just made a little tuna niçoise, that's all. If you don't like it, that's all right. Just throw it out.
Oh, I'd love a salad.
Good.
That was awfully thoughtful of you. Thank you.
I figured you'd come home late and everything. Well, good night, Professor. I'll see you in class.
Why don't you join me?
No, I couldn't do that.
You have other plans?
Well, not really,
Is there enough for two?
I suppose.
Then why don't you join me? Oh, you wouldn't leave me alone on the night of my Washington triumph, would you? Come on. Sit down.
I can do that.
No, sit down. Wow. This is perfect.
Appalling that he seduces this girl.
How do you know he seduced her?
Oh, Ruth, of course he seduced her. He must have seduced her, this famous older man. He took advantage of her youth and inexperience.
Well, that's not giving her much credit, is it? She's a thinking, feeling young woman. Isn't it possible they just both fell in love?
Oh, please, Woody is not in love with that girl.
Listen to you.
Anyway, not only is it appalling that he did it, but that he doesn't seem to think there's anything wrong with it. That's what's so galling. No moral dilemmas whatsoever. Did you see that in here? How could he find no moral dilemmas whatsoever?
He wasn't looking, so he didn't find any.
His girlfriend's daughter.
Adopted daughter.
So what? He was still practically a father to her.
Not her real father. It's not the same thing.
Why? Why isn't it? They were together 12 years, most of this girl's life, if not her father figure then. And what about the 12 other kids she's got, huh? How do you do that to them? He's fucked up a whole family.
Now, he says he never looked at this girl.
If you believe that shit.
Well, maybe it's true. Maybe she was there all along. He woke up one day to her irresistible charm.
What, like Gigi?
Listen, when something like this happens, it's hypnotic, it's magnetic, it's irresistible. There is no reason. Reason and morality have nothing to do with it, especially if the girl is as young and impressionable as My Lai, or whatever her name is. The allure of a famous older man. Very powerful thing.
Well, that's provocative, Ruth.
Oh, yeah, well, never mind you.
Woody was supposed to be the great moralist, the conscience of our age.
Bullshit. Who said that? A couple of critics? Guy writes a few clever movies, suddenly he's the conscience of an age. Honey, nobody asks to be the conscience of an age. It's a hell of a thing to live up to.
Why are you defending him?
I'm not defending
Yes,
him.
you are, and I'm finding it very irritating,
Well,
Ruth.
I
really
know why
am.
you're getting so upset about this. It's more than just a movie star misbehaving. Obviously, you're forgetting he's a movie star, darling. Movie stars misbehave all the time. That's why we invented them, so they could act out for all of us. It's more than just the misbehavior, huh? It's what it represents.
Oh, thank you, Dr. Freud. So what are you saying? I'm still pissed at my father for leaving my mother?
Well, darling, now that you mentioned it.
All right. So I went over all this yesterday, a whole session on Woody, Mia, and Daddy
Can you imagine the
Dearest.
therapeutic impact Woody's little indiscretion is going to have all over Manhattan? People lying on couches, moaning to their analysts.
I couldn't believe the stuff that poured out, feelings of rage, betrayal, abandonment, like I was 12 years old all over again. My father isn't talking to me, by the way.
Oh, really? Why?
I gave him the Disneyland story to read.
Oh, dear.
Yeah, and he hated it.
Well, that's no surprise, is it?
No, he was furious. Catherine was so upset she cried. How could you do this to her? She's only gone out of her way to be nice to you. Oh, God, it was awful. I never should have written it.
Well, that just wasn't an option. You had to write it.
Didn't I?
Absolutely. Yeah, the question is, why did you show it to him? It's not a very flattering portrait, you know.
I know.
So why did you give it to him?
So he'd have some idea of what I'm doing. He hasn't read my stuff since high school.
Well, the Disneyland story's a pretty tough introduction to your work, don't you think?
Yeah, I suppose. But I didn't want to be secretive about it. I mean, that didn't feel right either. I thought I was doing the right thing.
What did you hope to accomplish? Gain his respect, his approval, show him what a good little writer you are?
I guess. Yeah. That's exactly what I wanted. I wanted his approval. Pretty infantile, huh?
Well, but why show him this story? Couldn't you have given him one of your more benign stories to read?
I suppose.
But you chose to go for the jugular. I find that very interesting.
If I'm going to write what I know, it's inevitably going to hurt some people's feelings, right? Somebody's feelings are going to get hurt.
True, that's a risk you're just going to have to take. You can't censor your creative impulses out of the fear of hurting someone's feelings.
Even if it is my father's.
Even if it is. You have a story to tell, tell it. Don't flinch, just zero in on it and do it. The question is, why did you have to show your father a story he never had to see?
Well, actually, he would see it. This was sort of a preemptive strike.
Oh?
It's being published.
It is? Well, how did that happen? I thought we'd heard back from everyone we sent it to.
We did. I also sent it to Grand Street.
Grand Street? I thought we decided not to send it to Grand Street.
We did.
I thought we decided that was the wrong publication for it, and I didn't know anybody there.
Right. But I decided to send it in anyway, just for the hell of it, and see what happened.
But what about a letter? Did you ask me to write a letter? I have no memory of this.
No, I just sent it with a cover letter of my own, you know, the basic.
And they're publishing it?
Uh-huh. That's what they said.
Well, how do you like that? Didn't seem like their cup of tea at all.
I know, that's what we thought.
Well, your first published story.
Yeah.
Isn't that wonderful?
I know, I can't believe it.
Congratulations, you.
Thank you.
We have to celebrate.
Yes, let's.
And so what did they do? Write you or phone you or?
They wrote me.
When?
The other day?
Now, I've spoken to you every day this week. You've never mentioned a word about a letter from Grand Street.
Well, I just found out.
The other day, you said.
I don't remember when exactly. What difference does it make?
Well, why didn't you call me right away?
What?
Why wasn't I the first person you called?
Oh, Ruth, maybe you were. You would never know if you bothered to get an answering machine.
Oh, so you're saying you did call me? Oh, you tried calling me?
Ruth, I don't understand this.
Well, I just think it's very curious, dear, the person most invested in your progress, and you just get around to telling me, and in a very roundabout way, I might add.
Ruth, you're reading way too much significance into all this.
Am I?
I'm telling you now. I told you today I wanted to tell you face to face.
Oh, well, you just said you tried calling me.
Oh, you're impossible, you know that?
So did you try calling me, or did you call me, or was that just a convenient lie?
Why would I lie?
Well, I don't think you're being very upfront with me, dear.
Ruth.
What's the matter? You didn't think I could take it?
What?
So you were cushioning the blow.
What blow?
What, you thought I'd be threatened by your success?
No. I felt a little funny, I guess, because I submitted it on my own.
And you hoped, of course, they'd accept it.
What?
Oh, admit it!
Ruth, it's just a little journal. Nobody even reads it anyway. Ruth. Tell me about Delmore Schwartz.
What?
I want to hear about you and Delmore Schwartz.
What are you talking about?
Tell me.
I don't know what you're talking about.
He was your famous older man, wasn't he?
How did you get that?
It didn't click till just now, when we were talking about Woody and...
That's ridiculous.
I'm right, aren't I? Uh-huh. I am. I can tell, Ruth.
What do you want from me?
I want you to tell me.
There's nothing to tell.
Ruth.
It's really none of your business, you know.
All right. If you don't want to tell me, that's okay. I was only trying to get you to talk to me. But if you don't want to, that's all right. No. Really.
It was 1,000,001 years ago. Another lifetime. I was quite young.
How young?
22. But a young 22. I'm innocent in many ways. A good girl, nice Jewish girl. One of those passionate virginal girls who'd read Dickinson and Hopkins and sob her eyes out. Poetry was my love, my romance, my religion. What a time.
When was this?
57, 58. city was teeming with beatnik poets, old lefties, smoky bars, late night sessions. I'd just come from Detroit to be a poet, of course, and took an apartment, a tiny walk-up on Grove Street above an Italian restaurant. Place smelled of garlic, always. My pillow smelled of garlic, my clothes. It was wonderful. I had a roommate named Elaine, also from Detroit, the daughter of a friend of a family friend, and an aspiring actress who would soon marry a rich man, give up her dream forever, and die of breast cancer at 39. And the only soul I knew in all of New York City. One sleeting night, Elaine schlepped me to a bar on Hudson Street, the White Horse Tavern. And there, sitting in a booth, his wide, handsome moon face shining, his big voice booming for all to hear, whether they wanted to or not. There, performing for the two adoring co-eds who sat at his table, there was the great poet Delmore Schwartz. Mad prophet, squandered genius, son of Europe, America, and Israel.
Russ, this is incredible.
We sat across the aisle, Elaine and I, and he included us in his rant about, DiMaggio 1 minute, Kierkegaard the next. After midnight, the first team of cheerleaders grew tired and left, and Elaine and I moved our drinks into his booth. Seeing his face, shining face across the table, his eyes darting about, gleaming with brilliance. There was so much going on in there. And he was way past his prime at this point. He was gray and bloated and going to seed. His overcoat reeked of stale smoke. His teeth were baked yellow from cigarettes. He was only 44. There was something ancient about him. He seemed to possess so much wisdom, and yet, even that night, that first sleeting night, he seemed doomed. So what sheltered Jewish girl, what self-styled poet, what virgin would not have succumbed? And I was pretty then, too.
I'm sure. Why, no?
Yeah, you've seen pictures.
Yes.
Oh, pretty enough. Shapely, anyhow. I looked damn good in those tight Lana Turner co-ed sweaters. I was good company for a man like Delmore. Being my father's daughter had provided me with years of practice. I was a good listener. I had a real mouth on me, which he'd point out frequently with pleasure. I'd tease him, provoke him, take outrageous positions just to get a rise out of him, which I always did. I stuck by him for over a year, and he was descending rapidly by then. He was quite mad, you know. Oh, he had his moments, lucid, marvelous moments, but when they came, the rampages grew fiercer and fiercer. His aura sustained me. I'd go to his awful rented rooms while he was out, you know, those sordid rooms with the sink and the hot plate. Wash the dishes that had stacked up for days, clean up his mess, mend his clothes. He'd come in, never offer a word of thanks. One day I let myself in, and there was another pretty co-ed, lovingly washing his socks at the sink. Oh, she said, surprised to see me. I turned around, left, and never went back. I suppose you know the end of the tale, how he died in one of those hotels in '66, and his body lay unclaimed in the morgue for days. The years pass and the years pass, and still I see only as in a glass, darkly and vaguely, waiting in grinding misery for the fountain of poetry to flow and overflow once again.
Wow.
Poor schmuck. I don't talk about this. Why did you make me talk about this?
I'm sorry.
I sewed that man's trousers. I held him when he woke up in a cold sweat. I took a lot of shit from him in the name of poetry. I'm not particularly proud of everything that happened, but it was my shining moment.
No, it wasn't.
Yes, it was. It was.
And you've never written about it. Really? How come?
Some things you don't touch. Listen, I don't mean to be a big old baby.
Oh, Ruth.
You know how happy I am for you, don't you?
Of course,
And
I
very,
know that.
very proud.
I know. I know. What?
I was clearing my throat.
Well?
It's good.
Yeah,
Very, very good.
it is.
You want me to read it to you or not?
No. Just the highlights?
Just the highlights, huh? Well, the closing paragraph is to die for.
It is?
You sure you don't want to read it yourself?
No. I want you to.
Despite the occasional misstep.
Oh, shit. Wait, there's missteps?
Minor, not to worry. Shh. Despite the occasional misstep, Ms. Morrison's is a distinct, albeit youthful voice that must be reckoned with.
Oh, God.
In the dozen compact, well-observed stories that comprise eating between meals, she proves herself a keen and clever chronicler of the new lost generation. Well.
What was that? Keen and clever.
Keen and clever chronicler. Our little critic seems to have been bit by the alliteration bug.
As in Tolstoy? Wow. The unhappy families in Miss Morrison's universe are uniquely compelling.
All right, maybe you shouldn't read it. You'll begin to believe all that crap.
Okay, she doesn't like family reunion.
No, neither did I.
Says I try too hard.
Yeah.
It's stylistically self-conscious.
I didn't want to say I told you so, but...
Good. She likes Disneyland. A harrowing story in which a pubescent girl is forced to confront her father's sexuality. That's good.
You know what was wrong with that story?
Huh?
That story?
What story?
Family reunion. Too fancy. All those interior monologues for every member of the family. You didn't need that, remember I told you?
I thought you weren't going to say I told you so.
Well, she's right. It is stylistically self-conscious. You know how it came off? Came off as a young writer showing off her pyrotechnics to prove how versatile she is.
Okay. Wow.
How do you feel?
I don't know yet.
It's a splendid review. You know, it doesn't get much better than that.
I know.
Your life will never be the same from this morning on.
Thank you very much.
Well, now, when they print their lists of promising young writers, you'll be on them.
Oh, God.
You're on the map. Yesterday, you were undiscovered territory. Today, you're on the map. Good for you.
Why do I feel so awful?
Oh, that's understandable. There's nothing worse than getting what you wanted. Now, what do I have we can toast with?
It's not even 9 in the morning.
So what? We have to celebrate. You know, after The Business of Love came out, I was a total mess.
You were?
Oh. I thought I had champagne, but it turns out to be this sparkling cider that people bring to Thanksgiving that nobody ever drinks. Is that all right? Ow, absolutely. It was a terrible shock recognition. I was so inured to writing my little stories, shipping them off to these esoteric journals. Times played me up quite a bit. Put me on the cover of the book review with a picture of me wearing these awful harlequin-like glasses. You have to think of this as purely economic development, you know. Some grants may come your way, some nice opportunities, and that's all lovely, but you still have to do the work, and you still have to put up with assholes. Only now the work you'll do will be a lot harder, and the assholes will be a higher echelon of assholes, and that, as far as I can see, is the meaning of success. To hard work, perseverance, and the New York Times.
Amen. I couldn't have done this without you, Ruth.
I know.
No, I mean it.
Oh, my dear. So do I.
So what do I do now?
You'll do what you need to do.
I don't know what that
You'll
is.
figure it out. Give it time.
How long should I give it?
Long as it takes.
What if it never comes?
Lisa.
What if this is it? What if I'm a one-book wonder?
Stop it. You're not.
How do you know? What if I'm not really
Lisa,
a writer
Jesus,
after all?
Don't do this to yourself.
Everything I've tried to write all these weeks waiting for the book to come out, I don't know. I've got to come up with something bigger than myself, outside of myself. I have to get away from people my own age. It's hell being the voice of a generation.
Oh, that title is what, 5 minutes old?
I've blown the lid off bulimia in the suburbs. Whoopee. What do I do for an encore? I mean, it all seems so small now, so puny.
What does?
My whole world. Disaffected parents, sex and drugs in the family room, mother drinks, father cheats, you name it. I've told it all. Put everything I know into a mere 186 pages, and that's with title pages. And like this large print edition typeface that I find really embarrassing. It's pathetic. I looted my journals for tasty morsels, my frenzied, angst-ridden adolescent jottings. I stole whole chunks.
We're all rummagers. All writers are. Rummagers at a tag sale, picking through our neighbors' discards, anything we can get our hands on. Why stop at our own journals?
Well, the truth is, I'm not so angry anymore. I mean, I'm in treatment, okay? And moved to Chelsea. So now what do? I've done my parents, I've done my family. I'm not angry at them anymore. Fuck them. My boyfriend is a lawyer. Need I say more? And my friends are all boring because they're in exactly the same place as I am. So my life, I have no life. Every little quasi-idea that pops into my brain is so banal, so television. So I spend my days writing alleged stories about creatively paralyzed women in their 20s who live in cramped but cozy Chelsea apartments. You were lucky.
Why was I lucky?
Well, you had all that rich, wonderful Jewish stuff to draw on, you know?
Why was that luck? It was what I knew. I started out writing what I knew, just like you and everyone else who writes.
I know, but that culture, that history, I mean, the first generation American experience and all of that, nothing in my experience could possibly approach that. What do I have? WASP culture, which is no culture at all.
Oh, really? Well, tell that to Cheever and Updike.
Oh, God. I've got to write a novel, don't you think? Isn't that what they want?
Who?
Isn't that what they expect, the literary establishment? I mean, in order for me to be taken seriously.
I don't know. I never did.
No, but don't you think that hurt you?
Hurt me?
No, I don't mean hurt you. I mean, don't you think it affected you? Affected your reputation?
No, I don't.
Oh, okay.
Why, do you?
No, I just thought that maybe you felt that way.
No, I don't. Well, have I ever said as much?
No. It's just, as I see it, and maybe I've got this all wrong, but as I understood the game, the well-received first collection is like a rite of passage. The well-received first novel is coming of age. It's arrival, acceptance, proof that you weren't a fluke.
Yeah, well, I don't know who came up with those rules, but I never played by them. As far as I'm concerned, a writer is a writer, no matter what form that writing takes.
What if the Sunday Book Review hates it?
Oh, honey, relax. They may not even review it. Or if they do, it may be one of those perfunctory little pieces that nobody ever reads anyway. Listen, I want to ask you something.
What?
Oh, maybe this is the wrong time. It's your day.
No, tell me. What?
Well, you realize it's been over a week since I gave you my new story to read. You haven't said a word about it.
Shit, I know. I'm sorry.
Well, you've been busy. You probably haven't had time.
Actually, I did read it.
You did?
I read it the night you gave it to me. I liked it very much.
Well, why didn't you say something, you little shit?
I didn't know what to say.
Well, I liked it very much. Would have been good for starters.
I felt shy. You'd never given me a new story of yours and asked me what I thought before.
Well, we're colleagues now, aren't we? The morning paper confirms that, doesn't it? So, tell me, what did you think?
I told you.
Well, that you liked it, yes, but what did you like about it?
Ruth.
Come on, voice of a generation. Speak.
I liked the characters. The mother and daughter.
Yes? Did you find them believable?
Totally.
Why?
It's what you do, Ruth, like nobody else, the way you capture the essence of relationships. I mean, the structure is totally brilliant. These two women in the kitchen squabbling over the years while baking birthday cakes. You're amazing.
All right, cut the flattery. I wasn't fishing. I want to know what you thought.
You really do?
Yes.
Okay. I had problems with it.
All right, now we're getting somewhere. What kind of problems?
Well, you do such a beautiful job of creating these quirky, utterly recognizable women. I saw a lot of myself in Emily, actually.
Mm-hmm.
And then, I have to say, I felt really manipulated and disappointed by the ending.
Disappointed? How?
I mean, sentimentality is not your thing, Ruth. It never has been. It's a wonderful story, but giving the mother a terminal illness, you didn't have to do that.
Really?
No, I mean, you begin to fall in love with Martha, even when she's being hypercritical of everything Emily tries to do, but she's funny and honest, and Emily seems to know how to hold her own with her, and they're fun to eavesdrop on as Emily grows up and Martha grows old, so when you don't take them anywhere, when you don't resolve the relationship between them, I don't know, I felt cheated.
Well, but that's life, isn't it? I mean, what relationship is ever truly resolved? People, perfectly likable people, inexplicably, inconveniently behave badly, take a wrong turn, get sick and die. It happens, yeah?
True.
Besides, the final struggle in the story is an internal one, Martha's, and it's not about her illness. It's about her inability to tell her darling girl that she's very, very sick. Those are two different things, yes?
True.
She can't bring herself to do it. She continually tries to in that last section, but she always loses heart. It's as if saying it out loud would make it real, would bring death into the room, and she can't do that. So the story ends before she tells her. If the story ended with her telling Emily and Emily crying and carrying on, then I could understand your charge of sentimentality. But this?
No, you're right. I see it now. You're absolutely right. In the end, what makes it so moving is that we sense that this might be the very last cake that these two women get to bake together, and that's very, very sad.
So you were moved by it?
Oh, God, yes. I was just mad at you for killing her off.
Well, good. Thanks. Thanks for reading it.
You're very welcome. It was my pleasure. It was a real treat to read Ruth Steiner's latest before anyone else.
What you have to say means a great deal to me, you know.
No, I didn't know that.
No? How could you not know that? It goes both ways, you know. Am I supposed to give and expect nothing in return?
No, of course not.
I can't just applaud you and pat you on the back and give you unconditional love and support. I know I've been your teacher and your champion, but I'm also your friend, and I could use a little reassurance too, you know.
Ruth. What is it?
It's very complicated for me.
What is?
What's happening for you, it's very complicated for me.
Ruth, are you jealous?
Please don't condescend.
I'm not. I'm sorry. I didn't
It's
mean
not
to.
about envy. Well, maybe it is about envy, but it's not about professional jealousy. You know what it is. I'm jealous that you have all of life ahead of you. And I can't just sit back and watch you do the dance I danced so long ago and not think about time. That's what it is, don't you see? It's about time. Cheers.
It's so nice to be here at the 92nd Street Y and to be a part of this long literary tradition. I'm really honored. Thank you. I never expected such a turnout. Wow. I'm Lisa Morrison, by the way, just in case you're in the wrong room. I'm a little nervous. Forgive me. I'm new at this. I've never spoken in front of so many people before. I guess as long as I speak clearly and with conviction, this should go reasonably well. It's important that you're able to hear me. At least that's what I was taught. And I was taught by a master. What I'd like to do, for starters, I'd like to begin with an extract from my new novel. What am I talking about? My first novel, my only novel, Miriam's Book, which is being published next month by Viking. By Viking. And then, if my voice holds up, I thought I would read one or two stories from my debut collection from a couple of years ago, Eating Between Meals. Thank you. Anyway, the prologue is titled Night Falls Fast, which is taken from the poem Not So Far as the Forest by Edna St. Vincent Millay that appears in the beginning. Do you know it?
Read it.
You want me to?
Please.
Okay. Why don't I? Not so far as the forest. That chill is in the air, which the wise know well and have even learned to bear. This joy, I know, will soon be under snow. The sun sets in a cloud and is not seen. Beauty that spoke aloud addresses now only the remembering ear. The heart begins here to feed on what has been. Night falls fast. Today is in the past. Blown from the dark hill hither to my door, 3 flakes, then 4 arrive, then many more. From the window of my apartment in Washington Heights, I can see a sliver of Hudson between 2 gray-brown buildings and, beyond it, the high-rise towers of northern New Jersey. It is a still and sticky September night, and my window is open to the sounds and smells of a West 174th Street. Somewhere out there, on this Indian summer night, in a narrow, anonymous galley kitchen, someone is cooking with garlic. I found my mind drifting tonight while reading, or rather attempting to read, a poem by one of my first-year Columbia graduate students. A dreary, earnest girl who tries drawing. The poem is unwieldy, pretentious, and self-indulgent. But tomorrow, in tutorial over mandel bread and tea, I will tell her it is ambitious. I had gotten to the bottom of the 3rd page and realized that I had absorbed not one word for some time. It was then that the timeless scent of garlic shocked my smelling sense and swept me instantly 9 miles south and 4 decades back to a crumbling but quaint railroad flat on Mulberry Street in the year 1957. I was young, very young, 22 in 57, a young 22, not only a virgin but an innocent, a poet, Mankay, from faraway Missouri, a Jewess from a place called St. Louis. New York had beckoned like a beautiful dark lover with smoky breath and bloodshot eyes. I swooned and flew into his vampire arms with abandon and left the stultifying beige safety of my parents' house forever. Giordano's restaurant was on the ground floor. Angelo, the chef, got his marinara started at 6 every morning by throwing crushed garlic. When I am struck by the smell of garlic, as I was tonight, mixed with the dusty nighttime city air, I think of that intoxicating perfume of my youth, of that first summer on Mulberry Street, of long walks at all hours, of mildewy bookstores, smoky coffee houses, of poetry and promise. And I think of Emmett Levy. Emmett Levy, poet, madman, raconteur, the notorious and legendary Levy, great thinker, good poet, drunkard extraordinaire. At 44, he had lived too long but would not die soon enough. His death would be ungentle, attenuated over 9 desperate years, and I, a girl half his age, would see him through 7. This is the story of those 7 seasons in heaven and hell. So many years ago, when I was a girl of 22 and lost my heart to a beautiful dark angel, a poet named Emmett Levy. And that's the prologue. Shall I go on? Damn. Ruth? Ruth, are you all right? Ruth?
Yes.
Oh, Ruth. Thank God. Open the door. The chain is on.
What?
The chain is on the door.
So it is.
Are you all right?
I guess so. Good as can be expected.
Are you gonna let me in?
Oh, I suppose so.
Thank you. The door's usually open. Since when do you use the chains?
Only when I'm expecting burglars.
What happened tonight? I was worried about you.
Were you? I didn't say I'd come for sure. I said I would try to make it.
I know, but I was hoping. I guess you weren't feeling up to it.
I guess you could say that.
I brought you something.
Oh?
Cottage cheese. You said you had a craving for cottage
size
cheese.
curd?
What?
Curd. Curd. What size curd?
Large.
Oh, well, I prefer small.
Of course, I forgot.
How could you forget?
I wasn't thinking. I'm sorry.
Hell with it.
I'll return it.
No, never mind. I'm sick to my stomach. I can't keep a goddamn thing down anyway. I must have a calcium deficiency. I dream about dairy products. If I don't eat it, Monica will.
Monica?
My visiting nurse.
I thought her name was Beverly.
Well, Beverly was ages ago.
Sorry, I lost track. What happened to Beverly?
Irreconcilable differences. Now I have Monica, who doesn't do housework. A big, beautiful, mocha-colored woman from St. Kitts with a bubbly, melodic voice. Calls me Mommy. Are you hungry, Mommy? Are you cold, Mommy? I hated it at first. How dare this stranger patronize me like that? Then I started liking it. I like being called Mommy. Nobody's ever called me Mommy before. I don't see you anymore.
I was here last week.
No, not last week. Couldn't have been last week.
Then it was 10 days ago?
Well, I'm telling you it's been weeks because Monica's been coming for weeks.
Has it really been that long?
Yeah.
I'm sorry. I've been busy. The book.
Oh, yeah, the book. Leave it. Leave it!
You have junk mail.
You don't have to pick up for me.
Christmas.
You know I can still pick up after myself.
I'm just straightening up.
Yeah. Every time you straighten up, something disappears.
Did you read the Janet Malcolm piece in here?
Life's too short for the New Yorker.
It's good. You should read it.
I don't have time to read. I have all the time in the world and no time at all. My life is a paradox. It's a lovely dress you're wearing.
Oh, thank you.
Looks expensive.
It was.
Is that what you wore tonight?
Uh-huh. I wanted to look serious but sexy. Too much?
For the 92nd Street Y, perhaps. How'd it go?
Actually, it went fine. It was fun.
Good. I used to love doing readings. I loved the laughs. I loved getting the laughs. I'm just a big old ham, you know.
Yes. I do. Ruth, would you like some tea?
Yes, I would, thank you. I should have had children of my own, I think. My own damn fault. Too picky. Never met a man I could see myself having a child with. Of course, in this day and age, the choice of a partner would be totally irrelevant, I know. That was a more conservative time. Things were different when I was ovulating. Would have been good for me, I think, having a child.
Yes?
I might have become a better person, better writer, maybe, a better human being, possibly. My life surely would have been different. Instead, I spent many, too many years nurturing other people's gifted children. The first day of every class I ever taught, 32 first days, 32 years, I'd scan the faces, trying to predict who out there would dazzle me, who would thrill and astonish me with their promise. Who will it be this year? I've had a succession of chosen daughters through the years, some sons, mostly daughters. But none I loved as much as you.
Bruce.
I read your book.
Yes,
Well,
I
what
figured.
I could read of it anyway. My eyes are stinging. There are tons of typos in that copy you gave me. Tons.
I know, it's an advanced copy.
Oh, I hope they're planning on correcting it.
Of course they are.
Well, I made notes in the margin anyway. Force of habit. At one point, one whole section is suddenly repeated. I thought, well, I'm losing whatever mind I have left. Either that or you'd suddenly gone Joycean on me, and we both know experimental fiction is not your style. Lisa, if you'd only asked me what I thought, if you'd only asked me,
Bruce.
I would have told you were making a mistake.
I didn't know what to do. I didn't know how to handle it.
Stay away from Schwartz. He's mine, not yours. Besides, he's been picked over by so many vultures in the name of literature, and Bellow finished him off for everyone. If you'd only asked me, if you'd only asked me, if you'd only asked my advice, forget my permission, if you'd only asked my advice, I would have told you, look elsewhere, leave him out of it, leave him alone. They'll compare you to Bellow, and your work can't support it, darling. It can't. It simply can't. You're not good enough. You may never be good enough. So why call attention to it? If you'd only asked me, but you didn't ask me. Instead, you skulked around like a thief for 2.5 years.
No, I
evaded
didn't.
my questions, failed to make eye contact.
No, I didn't.
Yeah, you did. You did, my darling. I knew something was up when you did come to see me. I thought it was my appearance, that I was looking so awful that you couldn't look me in the eye.
No.
I could have used your friendship, but you were too busy scavenging through my personal effects, going through my panty drawer.
That's not what I did.
Yeah? So why did you skulk? Why couldn't you look at me?
I don't know. I needed some distance.
Distance.
I needed to separate from you.
Oh, well, that you did, my darling. That you did.
You wouldn't know what it's like to have to get out from under you, from under your influence. You couldn't possibly know what that's like.
Everything I told you. Everything I shared with you.
Bruce.
What a fool I was.
No.
Regaling you with stories of my life like the pitiful old woman you've made me out to be.
Pitiful. No.
And all the time you were taking notes.
That's not true. I was listening. I was cherishing every moment.
I'm sure.
If I had told you and you had disapproved, listen to me. If you had disapproved, I don't know what I would have done. I never could have written it. How could I have written it? I would have lost you, and I would have lost my novel, too. I was scared.
Oh, poor thing.
I didn't know what to do. You were the one person who could advise me, and I couldn't discuss it with
But
you.
you listened all right, and took it all in, put it all out there for all the world to see.
What did I do that any good writer wouldn't have done, that you wouldn't have done yourself? A story grabbed me and wouldn't let me
darling,
go.
that's where you're wrong. It didn't grab you. You seized it. It didn't seize you. Have you no conscience? Have you no moral conscience?
I have a conscience.
You do, but you did it anyway? That's what's so remarkable. You did it anyway?
What did you teach me? You taught me to be ruthless.
So to speak.
If a story captures your eye, you told me grab it. That's what you taught me. Don't worry about feelings. Worrying about feelings is sentimental. And God knows we mustn't be sentimental.
But you crossed the line, sweetie. You crossed the line.
Why? Because it involves you?
Yeah, I would think that had something to do with it, yes. I was a fellow writer telling you these stories, not a longshoreman or a waitress. For God's sake, a fellow writer. It was a matter of professional courtesy, I would think. What was I supposed to do? Proclaim them off limits, plant a flag, get you to sign something? You were my friend, goddammit!
I wish you wouldn't use the past tense.
You know, once upon a time, writers made up their own stories. Isn't that amazing?
Oh, Ruth, come on. Don't give me that shit. You used people all the time.
If I used people for my stories, my dear, it was because they had no voice.
Oh, well, is that so? That's awfully condescending of you, Ruth. How do you know? How do you know that?
It's the truth.
You're always making these pronouncements. When do the little people you built your career on choose you as their advocate?
I gave them a voice when they had none.
Well, there you go. We all play God, don't we? We all put words into people's mouths.
No, because what you've done is something else. It's something else. I have the voice. I have the tools.
Ruth!
Ah! Use your own goddamn life. If it's not rich enough, too bad. Don't thumb a ride. Hop aboard in mine. Hitchhiker.
What do you make me out to be? You make me sound like the most mercenary person imaginable. The last thing I wanted to do was hurt you.
Oh, well, I think you might be deceiving yourself a little there, dear.
How?
Well, you destroy me and claim my lover for yourself, take him to bed. I think you wanted to destroy me.
That's ridiculous.
All right, you wanted to obliterate
No,
me.
no, I wanted to honor you.
Honor me?
Yes, it was my gift to you.
Your gift?
Yes, I was honoring you for all that you've given me.
Oh, well, you know what? I don't want your gift. How do you like that? I'm sorry, it's not very gracious, but your gift doesn't honor me. I'd like a receipt so I could exchange it for something else, but you're telling me there is no receipt. It's take it or leave it.
What exactly is so offensive to you? I don't understand it.
You don't?
No.
You've stolen my stories, Lisa. My stories. What am I without my stories? I'm nothing. I'm a cipher. I'm as good as dead.
But they aren't your stories, Ruth. Not anymore. They stopped being your stories when you told them to me. They changed my life. So how can they be solely your stories anymore? You're a part of my life now. Ruth, our lives intersect. I am the sum of your experience and my experience and everyone else.
Yeah.
My book isn't your story. Miriam isn't you. She isn't.
I've used that line before, Bubala, believe me.
All right, she's as much me as she is you.
The poor, pitiful old woman pining for Elmore Schwartz?
No, the young, impressionable disciple who wants nothing more than the high regard of her mentor.
Oh, is that what you were going for?
Yes.
Well, you failed miserably. I didn't get that at all.
That's because you don't want to see it. You've totally, willfully misread her. Miriam isn't pitiful. She's vital, funny, self-ironical. She sees the affair for what it truly was in ways you obviously cannot.
What is that supposed to mean?
You're the one who calls it the shining moment of your life, Ruth. For Christ's sakes, you wear it like some masochistic badge of honor. You've let one brief affair define your entire
have not.
life.
That is absurd.
You're like a professional war widow or Miss Havisham in her wedding dress.
That
or
is
something.
insulting.
I'm sorry.
What are you gonna do, lay some post-feminist crap on me now, Lisa, huh?
No.
Tell me how only you, with the benefit of your feminist perspective, can put my affairs in their proper place. Is that it, huh?
I wanted to give something back to you, okay?
Really?
I wanted to reclaim something precious for you.
Well, who the hell asked you? Who the hell asked you for your revisionism of my life, huh?
Why?
Not I. I'll tell you something, kiddo. You wouldn't be where you so smugly sit if it weren't for women like me.
Oh, yes, Ruth.
It's our own damn fault. Our dirty work made your arrogance possible.
Oh, please spare me that
Jesus,
you girls
the
have
way
it so
you
easy,
take
shit.
and take with your astonishing sense of entitlement. And you know what?
Not only have you usurped my love affair, oh no, you took my entire milieu and passed it off as your own.
How? I don't know what you mean.
You don't? Jewish intellectual life, New York in the 50s? Jesus, Delmore is one thing, but to take on territory that is so identifiably mine?
How is that yours? Do you have dibs on the entire spectrum of the Jewish experience, too?
Look
Ruth,
at
exclusive rights?
My body of work, for Christ's sake. Look at it. You know it backwards and forwards.
You're a point of departure like any inspiration.
No, it's my voice, goddammit. What you've done is mimicry. It's not art, it's not homage, it's parody. You have no right.
No right? What about my right as an artist?
Well, that's right. You have to earn. Who gave you the right to write about Jews?
What, because I haven't lived it, I can't write it? Is that what you're saying? I can't write about Jews because I'm not Jewish.
No, I'm saying it's bogus coming from you. It's inauthentic, it's irresponsible.
And when you got into the heads of welfare mothers, that was what? Social realism? Come on, Ruth. You're not being fair. You're contradicting everything you ever taught me about writing.
Things you've got me doing, saying,
Not
thinking.
you, Miriam.
Oh, please, you're either being disingenuous or very naive. Of course, it's me. There is no fact. There is no fiction. As far as everybody's concerned, it's me. So it might as well be me. Everybody knew you were my protege, for God's sake. So you're pandering to the public like some dirty tell-all rag.
No.
You know how that is. You read the book, you're guessing, you're smacking your lips, and you're guessing.
So what do I do?
It's my life, damn it! You appropriated my life! Maybe you thought it was up for grabs.
Ruth.
Maybe you thought I was fair game.
No.
Hell, maybe you thought I'd be dead by now.
That's a horrible thing to say. How can you say
Don't
that to
act
me?
so shocked, my darling. I'm sure the thought occurred to you. It certainly would have occurred to me. You've taken my life and turned it into pulp.
How can you call it pulp?
Oh, please, Lisa, those sex scenes. What did I teach you about sex scenes, huh? They always read like automotive mechanics, darling. Bodies and parts. That scene in the stairwell of her walk-up, the huffing, the puffing, the creaking of the stairs. Oi, Gewalt.
Forget it.
His wet wool coat smothering her, his big, huge bareness pressing into her deeper and deeper. He was impotent, darling. The great love of my life, your romantic hero, was so done in by drink and dexedrine by then, there was practically no sex at all. Certainly not sex as you so grotesquely imagined it.
So what? My book is fiction.
Your book is shit. You know what I would do if I were you? Not that you asked me. I would buy back every copy, every single copy, make a nice big bonfire in Tompkins Square Park. What the hell? If nothing else, the homeless could warm their hands on it.
If I were in your place, if my life had inspired a disciple of mine to write about it, I would be gratified.
Would you?
I would be honored. I wouldn't be doing this.
Well, but your book isn't any good, Lisa, so it's not going to do you any good at all.
Well, a lot of people would disagree.
Admit your failure, take your loss, and chalk it up to experience. Admit your moral and artistic failure. Because if you don't, I'm going to do everything I can to stop it.
Stop it? Mm-hmm. What do you mean, stop it?
Stop it. Stop it. I've spoken to my lawyer.
You what?
Sounds so corny, doesn't it? But I talked to him this morning.
Oh, Ruth. This is foolishness.
Huh?
I've done nothing wrong, nothing illegal. You have no legal grounds.
Maybe, but I do have moral grounds, and I still have friends, and I still have sense, and I'm going to make a very big stink.
You don't want to do that.
Oh, I've got to. You've given me no choice.
You'll only get the opposite result. People will want to read the book, and then what will you have accomplished?
No, people have got to know that I was robbed.
You don't need this kind of publicity, Ruth. It will be humiliating. A great teacher suppressing her student, the champion of free speech. It reeks of professional jealousy. I mean, I would hate to think of you degrading yourself like that.
And what have you done to me, huh? What have you done to me?
You wanted me to write about him, didn't you?
I what?
Don't talk about it, write it. Remember that, Ruth? That was one of the first lessons you ever taught me.
You're going to throw that in my face now.
Telling a story takes away the need to write it. It relieves the pressure. The day you told me about him, I knew by the way you told me and the language that you used that it had been written in your head a long time ago. And when you said it aloud that day, I knew. I could sense that you were giving it to me.
Giving it to you?
You wanted me to use it.
Well, that has got to be the worst argument I've ever heard for theft. What are you saying? I left the window open?
I'm not saying it was conscious.
You know, I'm perfectly capable of writing my own stories, thank you very much.
But face it, Ruth, you were never going to write this one.
Oh, how do you know that? Excuse me, how do you know
I'm
that?
sorry, but it's true.
How do you know I haven't written it already? Ruth. How do you know I haven't? How do you know it isn't right here?
Ruth,
how do you
please.
know it isn't right here? Huh? What, just because I haven't run to a publisher with it?
Ruth.
How do you know? Don't!
Don't do this! This isn't about you and me, Ruth, and we know it.
No. What's it about?
It's about death.
Oh, it's about death. Oh, I see.
Death is a third party here. You're angry at death.
Oh, I'm angry at death. Oh, thank you very much.
And I don't blame you.
Oh, that's very kind of you.
Please don't be angry with me. The last thing I wanted was for you to be angry with me. I know this has been a terribly rough time for you. I know that. And it pains me. It does. I am so sorry you haven't been feeling well.
I feel fine.
What I mean is, I think it's the disease. Talking Ruth. It isn't you.
I see.
I'm not your enemy, Ruth. I love you.
You love me?
Yes.
Yeah, let me ask you something. What did you think my response would be? Silence? Approval? What?
I thought you would feel pride. Satisfaction.
Satisfaction?
For having been a good teacher. Ruth.
Go home.
What?
I can't talk to you anymore.
Don't say that.
I feel as if I've been bugged. My dear young friend turned out to be a spy who stole my secrets.
Ruth, please,
Listen,
we can talk about
do me a
this.
favor. Will you take out the trash on your way? I've got a leaky bag.
Ruth.
Go home. homage, it's parody. You have no right.
No right? What about my right as an artist?
Well, that's right. You have to earn.
I first saw Collected Stories in New York, and it was at the Manhattan Theater Club, and I was just terribly moved by it because the question of who owns your life, who owns the right to tell your story, just touched me deeply.
You've stolen my stories, Lisa. My stories. What am I without my stories?
I wrote Collected Stories at a time in my life when I had begun teaching, and I had also recently become a parent. And I think that those two things converging in my life led to my interest in writing this particular play.
I was very excited about getting it for the Geffen Playhouse, where I directed it with Linda Lavin and Samantha Mathis. And we had a very successful run, and my partner Dennis Doty and I then decided we wanted to make it into a film, and we were very fortunate to find out that PBS was interested in doing projects of this sort, so we brought it to them, and the rest is what happened.
When we started talking with KCT about this and with Donald Margulies, Gil and I and Donald all felt the best people to bring this production to life would be the ones that were at the Geffen Theater. Linda Lavin as Ruth and Samantha Mathis as Lisa were electric on the stage.
You know, I can't talk about the relationship between Ruth and Lisa without talking about the relationship between Linda and Sam. Because the relationship between Linda and Sam is quite remarkable. They respect one another a great deal. Samantha was trained in the movies. Linda was trained on stage. Samantha has played with Linda on stage, and Linda has played with Sam now in the movie.
Well, your first published story. Isn't that wonderful?
I know, I can't believe it.
Congratulations, you.
Thank you.
We have to celebrate.
Yes.
Linda has a wonderful urbaneness, a kind of sauciness, a sexuality that is ageless. She is also has not only the urbaneness, but also an innate Jewishness, which I think is so much a part of who Ruth is.
See, there, it stopped. Couldn't have been that important.
This is good. What is it?
It's mandel bread.
Mandel?
Jewish biscotti. See? Look. Well, I think she, like most of us, just becomes more of what she already was. Somebody who was a lot like I was when I first came to New York. Innocent and a good girl and, a nice Jewish girl. She speaks of herself. And I was all of that, too. And coming to the big city and it was like Morocco. New York was exotic and dark and exciting and full of not only promise but rejection and fear and loneliness and isolation in such a big city. And so she is a product of all of that, as I am. I thought I had champagne, but it turns out to be one of these sparkling ciders that people just bring to Thanksgiving and nobody gets.
The Lisa character starts out as young and innocent, and it's the rules of the game as she goes along, takes what she can, and then refuses to concede the fact that she might have done something that's really not proper.
What did I do that any good writer wouldn't have done, that you wouldn't have done yourself? A story grabbed me and wouldn't let me
darling,
go.
that's where you're wrong. It didn't grab you. You seized it!
One of the things that attracted me to Samantha Mathis for this role was that I wanted a young actress who did not seem like an actress, but who had a kind of intensity about her that would convince me that she might in fact be a writer. And I felt that Sam did possess that ability. Unlike a lot of ingenues that you might meet who are attractive and poised, they don't quite convince you that they have the stuff inside that is darker than what they are able to portray.
Donald is an amazing writer. The dialogue is so rich, and a two-character piece is such a rare thing to come across, and to play such a rich, wonderful female character who has this incredible arc. I was blown away by the material.
Where's the pile that was here?
Oh, well, I straightened up.
Oh, no. God, no. Why did you do that?
The scene in which Ruth becomes upset with Lisa for rearranging her paperwork is a perfect example of when Lisa's crossed Ruth's boundaries. She's only trying to do right by her. She has the best of intentions of trying to help her by organizing her life because it's such a mess. And Ruth simply doesn't want anyone in her space. She's lived comfortably alone for a long time, and Lisa's gone too far.
I made meter piles.
I don't want meter piles. I like my piles the way they are.
I'm sorry,
There
I
was
didn't
a method to my madness, young lady, which is...
If you've ever lived alone, and I have, if you've ever, given a lot of attention to and importance to your stuff, your things, your space, your organizational skills, even if they look horrifying to someone else, they're the way you do things. And to have somebody come in and, quote, mean well, but to rearrange your stuff is metaphorically about an intrusion into your life or the rearranging of or judgment about how you do things.
Lisa's astonished that Ruth doesn't have an answering machine. Ruth doesn't see why she needs an answering machine. All her, her parents are dead. She has no children. If someone calls her and she's not in, they'll call back. So this scene at the desk is key to establishing the new, the old, and what will ultimately be the more substantial conflict between them.
I'm really, really sorry. I was only trying... Well, I'll put everything back the way it was.
Leave everything the way it is.
Sorry.
I think the theme that unifies all of my plays, and my plays are fairly diverse, I think the unifying theme is loss. I think you could point to almost everything I've written and see that the characters in my plays are all dealing with change in their family life, in their professional life, in terms of their own mortality, dealing with their own mortality, dealing with change in Dinner with Friends. It's change in friendships and in evolving marriages. And I think that time is a player in all of my work, very palpably in Collected Stories.
I'm jealous that you have all of life ahead of you. And I can't just sit back and watch you do the dance I danced so long ago and not think about time.
There was a golden age of television when studio-based drama was kind of the thing, way back in the days of Playhouse 90 and all of those. And it's almost a lost form, a lost art. And this was an opportunity to do a piece of material that we felt passionately about, but to do it in a modern, old-fashioned way, as it were. To do it in high-definition, widescreen television.
The great joy of high-definition television is in its ability to give the cameramen and the people making the film the opportunity to capture time and place. When you see Collected Stories, the apartment that Roy Christopher designed, it seems real because the selectivity of color tones, the depth of color, the opportunity to control density, all those things that really are not available to us in regular television are there.
From a producer's point of view in this picture, it came down to making sure that we would stay within the budget, the money that we had, which is the schedule or the time we had to shoot it, and do the very best job that the script called for, that the director and the actors wanted to deliver us. And in this case, we had 12 days to shoot 100 pages of material.
The biggest challenge in this production was to do it for the money and in the time it had to be done. You know, it's interesting when you do a movie. I usually use a parallel of an airplane where someone designs an airplane and then you're dealing with cutting and you say, well, can you make the engine a little smaller? Can you take a little off the wings? Can you make the wheels a little smaller? And the issue is, at what point won't it fly? And it's the same issue when you're making a film. There's a certain point where you can't do a movie because you just don't have that which it takes to make it work. And with us, we had to think long and hard about whether we could do the movie on this budget and how to do it. And I think we were successful.
The one little unique thing was we had the opportunity to go on location with this picture. And we had to find New York in Los Angeles. We had to find Greenwich Village of New York in Los Angeles, which is not terribly easy to do. But we were fortunate to find a street that worked for us with the apartment and the stores and the other areas that we needed to shoot.
In the adaptation of this play, I did do some pruning. This version of the play is a bit less discursive than the stage version is. On stage, I think that we're more tolerant of people being digressive in their conversation. Because let's face it, this play is essentially a series of conversations between two intelligent, complex women.
You've taken my life and turned it into pulp.
How can you call it pulp?
Oh, please, Lisa, those sex scenes. What did I teach you about sex scenes, huh? They always read like automotive mechanics, darling. Bodies and parts. That scene in the stairwell of her walk-up, the huffing, the puffing, the creaking of the stairs, oi gewalt.
Collected Stories is a rare film. I think it reminds me so much of the first film that I made, oddly enough, which was I Never Sang for My Father, which was with Gene Hackman and Melvin Douglas, and it had a father-son relationship where the son had to break away from his father. And this, 35 years later, curiously enough, is a young woman trying to break away from her mentor, and her mentor having to deal with what that means in terms of her own life.
I needed some distance.
Distance.
I needed to separate from you.
Oh, well, that you did, my darling. That you did.
You wouldn't know what it's like to have to get out from under you, from under your influence. You couldn't possibly know what that's like.
The play will always exist. It's published, it's produced all over the world, happily enough, I'm proud to say. This is a different version of the play. I'm not saying it's more legitimate or less legitimate than a stage version of the play. But what I'm delighted about is that it is a record of the play that a playwright rarely gets to have. You know, in at least New York theater, there's the Lincoln Center archive that, as a matter of record, records many performances of plays in New York. But they're not available to the public unless they go to the library and view it there. The fact that this version of the play is available to public television audiences, I think, is a wonderful gift.
I think that working here during the course of preparing and shooting this film has proved to be a great experience in lots of ways. And one of them is that the support that the people at KCT brought to the making of the film was almost unique in this business. They were never interfering or demanding. They were always there to help you make the best version of this screenplay into a film that could be. And for people doing what we do, that is a real unique joy.
There is not enough accent on quality. Quality is not something that we regularly appreciate and regularly approve and regularly contribute to. And I think by doing plays and doing films of this quality and this care and this concern, PBS is making a significant contribution not only to television but to American culture as well.